Good night, itchy eyes. Good night, sudden sneeze. Good night to your symptoms of allergies. Xyzal is the allergy medicine you take before bed. It provides powerful relief while you rest your head. Not just all night, but all the next day. Xyzal keeps working, keeping allergies at bay. And without those annoying symptoms disturbing your rest, you can wake up the next morning feeling your absolute best. Remember, be wise all, take Xyzal. At night.
Your earbud fell in a coffee cup. You need a taco pick-me-up. When modern life gets rough, grab the timeless taste you love. Paso the old El Paso.
It's back to school season, and Clorox is donating 2 million disinfecting wipes to classrooms across America. Because back to school means things can get a little bit messy. Just ask second grade teacher Mr. Torres.
Put me and just one Clorox wipe on a team? We can take on crayon smudges, sticky fingerprints on every surface, sneezes on the door handle, juice box explosion by the sink, snack crumbs, and don't even get me started on the bathroom passes.
Clorox disinfecting wipes, teacher's #1 wipe.
Think about it. Bathroom passes.
Clean feels good. Based on unit sales data.
Another switchback. Wait, this isn't the top. Where's the summit? Why am I doing this?
At REI Co-op, we believe there are places within ourselves
Almost there. You got this.
that we find only outside.
Wow. This is worth it.
We have the gear, inspiration, and advice to help you get there. REI Co-op. Visit rei.com.
Leading a business today means constantly adapting. On the Executive Insights podcast brought to you by AWS, global leaders share how they're making tough calls, testing bold ideas, and putting innovation into practice, generative AI included. If you're looking for real stories behind what's working, this is it. Subscribe to the Executive Insights podcast today. Available now on all major podcast platforms.
Hello and welcome to the Assassin's Creed Lorecast. We are so excited to bring you this show.
Our podcast is all about unraveling all of your favorite mysteries from the Assassin's Creed games. Each episode we'll be talking about a different topic in the Assassin's Creed universe. From Pieces of Eden, Solar Flares, and the Isu, to the Hidden Ones, the Order of Ancients, and of course, the Animus. We will seek to uncover it all.
So join us and maybe even take a leap of faith.
Welcome to the Assassin's Creed Lorecast. My name is Shelby. You might also know me as She-Cup. I'm super excited to be here today, and I'm joined by my co-host for this show.
And so I am Austin or Teacup.
Yes, you are. So we are getting back into, after our patron chat last week, we are getting back into some more modern day assassin cells. Is that right?
I believe that is right. We are today talking about Xavier's cell. And so this mainly comes from two comics. Basically, the comic Trial by Fire and then Burning Suns.
Okay.
And so this is an assassin cell that operates mainly in California. It is the first cell that we've talked about that has operated strictly in the U.S. There have been other cells that have been U.S. based, but they've mainly been operating overseas with the Bloodstone unit, mainly in Vietnam, and then Gavin Banks spending a lot of time in Russia, in Norway, in Japan.
So here's a question. I kind of vaguely feel like both of at least for the Bloodstone unit, I feel like they spent a lot of time in like Texas on the East Coast. And I can't remember if that's the same for Gavin's cell, but would it be fair to say that This cell that we're talking about today, Xavier Chen's cell, is like the first one on the West Coast.
Yes, for the most part, mainly because when Desmond and his team are in America, they're mainly in kind of the Boston, that New England, Northeast area. And then we have Gavin is mainly in the same area because they're trying to draw attention away from Desmond and his team for Abstergo when they're there. So yeah, let's get in and meet the team. So first, we obviously have Xavier Chen. Little is known about Xavier before he was an assassin. However, he did lead a mission that went very badly, with everyone on that team except for himself being presumed dead.
So just to clarify, this is before he creates his own cell.
Yes.
So this is a completely different situation, not including or not about the people that are in the cell we're talking about today.
Yeah. This is just him leading a mission, not like leading a cell and directing where they go and how they do things. He was just leading a strike team mission.
Mm-hmm. So I guess my question for this is, how does he go from a failure as a commander on a mission to leading his own cell?
We'll talk about that.
All right.
Our next assassin that we're going to talk about is a returning that we have from our last episode. And so this is Galina Voronina. She was obviously a part of Gavin's bank cell, which we learned about, recruited to be their enforcer. She is a Russian assassin, which we learned that. She is initially recruited by Gavin Banks before moving on to Gavin's team, and then separating when the team broke up and moved on. If you want more about that, go listen to last week's episode. She was actually raised as an assassin with her twin sister, and she is a master assassin noted by both William Miles and Gavin Banks as one of the most skilled of the day.
Okay, so first thing I have to say is that she was with Gavin's cell and then went to Xavier's cell, correct?
Correct.
Okay, I just want to make sure I understood that correctly. So then the second thing I have to say is that it's really interesting to me that both William Miles and Gavin say that she's a master assassin. And so I guess my question is, why does she, or actually, does she stay at that level? Does she become a mentor assassin? Will we do a Galina character deep dive? Do we have enough information for that?
We will likely not do a Galina character deep dive because her story is going to be covered in the remainder of the assassin cells.
Gotcha. All right. Well, I won't make any assumptions yet about what happens.
Right. But she becomes, the reason that she is a master assassin and noted by this is for her skills, and notably her ruthlessness is what attracts her mainly to Gavin and to William. So Gavin ends up recruiting her, if you remember, because of Emmett's inability to break his pacifism vows. And Gavin is like, I need someone who's gonna be the muscle of this team. And he finds Galina in Russia.
And she's the one.
Yeah. And then so William also notes her ruthlessness that attracts her to him, which is annoying from William's part. But I mean, it is a point of when Sean and Rebecca need backup in London hunting for the shroud with Berg on their tail. It is Galina who is sent to assist them.
And that's a perfect tie into my point about her, is that it's interesting that she is regarded so highly and that your first word to describe her is ruthless. And so for that reason, I feel like her and, Charlotte de la Cruz too, they are kind of the foils to Berg on the assassin side. Like it's the two of them, and then there's Berg. And actually, I feel like they all have a lot in common.
Yes. Charlotte is another interesting case. Again, we will not do a Charlotte De La Cruz character deep dive, because again, we will cover most of her story in these assassin cells.
Cool.
And so, yeah, the next one is their tech guru, their Rebecca Crane of their team, which is Kody Adams. Like I said, he is the technician of the group. He maintains the animus, which he keeps with Rebecca's trend of nicknaming everything, and he calls it the Red Rider, which all I can think about is Red Rider BB gun.
Yeah, same. You'll shoot your eye out, kid.
Yeah, which is ironic, but that's for a later episode. And then our last member, as you kind of alluded to earlier, is Charlotte de la Cruz. This is her recruitment into the Assassin Order. So she is recruited late in life as she's working for a banking group that is a kind of, it's not really a front for Abstergo, but they're tied in together because Abstergo owns everything. And so showing skill in Abstergo's entertainment's Helix system, which is like their video game system that they are developing in Assassin's Creed Black Flag. So there you go, Shelby. What you're doing leads to the development of the Helix system.
Great.
And so she shows skill in there, and because of her tendency, like Sean Hastings, to dig where they're not supposed to dig, she discovers the Assassin Templar War and gets involved when she's not supposed to, and gets recruited by Galina and Xavier. And so she is similar to Desmond in a lot of ways, in that she has a very impressive ancestry, including several major assassins from across the globe, aging from the American colonies to Haiti to India, just a lot of area. Those ancient, she is Hispanic, and so she has ties into the ancient Mayan culture as well, which we know kind of when colonial period time came, got heavily involved into the Assassin Order. And she's very much a novice in this cell. She is really only there for the cell to be able to explore the memories of her specific ancestor, Thomas Strotter, who is during the Salem witch trials. If you remember, dig way in the recesses of our episodes about the Salem witch trials. So if you want that story, you can get the story of the Salem witch trials and her story in the Trial by Fire comic. And so, yeah, that's the team. Do you have any overarching thoughts of the individuals?
Yeah, I do. I think the first thing that sticks out to me is just how few of them there are. There's only 4 of them. That's really small.
Yes, this is the smallest cell that we have talked about. And like I said, I didn't actually finish all my fun facts. The other fun fact that I have is that several members of this cell do reappear in other cells, so we will really get to know them. So this is a cursory overview, but we'll really get to know them as we continue on. These are the characters we'll kind of stick with as we continue through the Assassin cells.
Gotcha. Well, the other thing that's really interesting to me, and this, I guess, is specifically about Charlotte, and I know we've talked about her briefly before, and actually, I think multiple times she's been mentioned on episodes, but I just feel like and I've never noticed this until you brought it up now, but I feel like what you're talking about, like she's concerned with her ancestors and exploring their memories. It feels like she's maybe not quite as loyal to the cells and to the assassins as the rest of them are, which is maybe, I don't know if that's a fair assessment or not, but I think it's interesting to bring up, because I feel like the others of this group are very dedicated to the assassins.
Definitely, Galina is 100% like, she is on board for the assassins. If you remember when we talked about in Gavin Banks's cell, that her recruitment is actually her taking down her own mother and the entire Russian Brotherhood because they had been compromised in the Creed. And so right from the get-go, I mean, we haven't really seen that kind of commitment to the Creed since really Connor.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's hard to buy into it 100% of the way. I think Aya does. But I agree with you. I mean, you said since Connor, and she's way after that. So,
Right. I always think of Aya and Bayek as given because they made it. And you're always going to buy in, almost 100% to the things that you start and you create.
See, I don't agree with that because I feel like, and I know this is a tangent, but oh well. I think Aya buys into it fully, completely, totally, 100%, but I don't think Bayek does. I think he would have been happy to settle down with her and try to recreate the life they lost. I think that he goes along with the assassins because he does want to do right for the world, but also because Aya is passionate about it.
Right. I mean, and it is, you haven't played this yet, but it is Bayek who creates the tenet, never harm the innocent. That is Bayek's addition to the creed.
Because he knows, right, because he knows that Aya would not do that. And I love her, but she's ruthless. But to get back to this a little bit, it was just an interesting kind of thing that I noticed, that maybe Charlotte is not as dedicated to the assassins as the rest of the team, which can create an awkward dynamic among the group.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's more that Charlotte has a very black and white morality. And we'll kind of get into that as we go down into the stuff. But she has a very black and white morality, and some of the aggressiveness, specifically with Galina, unsettles her.
Yeah, and I think that's fair. I just wanted to bring it up.
Yeah. All right. Well, if that's all you've got, I think that was a good time for the break.
All right, let's go to it.
This message is sponsored by Greenlight. With school out, summer is the perfect time to teach our kids real-world money skills they'll use forever. Greenlight is a debit card and the #1 family finance and safety app used by millions of families, helping kids learn how to save, invest, and spend wisely. Parents can send their kids money and track their spending and saving, while kids build money confidence and skills in fun ways. Start your risk-free Greenlight trial today at greenlight.com/Spotify. That's greenlight.com/Spotify.
This episode brought to you by MGM Plus. From executive producer Stephen King and an executive producer of Frog comes The Institute, a chilling new original series from MGM Plus. Kidnapped and trapped in a sinister facility, gifted teen Luke Ellis must join other children to fight for their survival. Starring Emmy Award winner Mary Louise Parker, Ben Barnes, and introducing Joe Freeman. The Institute, premiering July 13th on MGM Plus.
Heather is a nurse practitioner from United Healthcare.
We meet patients wherever they live.
During a house call, she found Jack had an issue.
Jack's blood pressure was dangerously high.
It was 217 over 110.
So they got Jack to the hospital and got him the help he needed.
He had had a stent placed in his heart, preventing a massive heart attack.
If it wasn't for my guardian angel, I wouldn't be here.
Hear more stories like Jack's at unitedhealthcare.com. Benefits, features, and/or devices vary by plan, area, limitation, and exclusions apply.
Ma cos'è? Shoot! Shoot the flying demon!
Malaka! 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 I get the sense you two are ill fit for whatever it is you're plotting.
This one takes us for a fool, brother. We Sons of Ragnar have this well under control.
No, we do not.
Sons of Ragnar. I know of many, but never have I heard of Dull and Duller.
Hello and welcome to the middle of the show. This is where we talk about all the things that have to do with the Assassin's Creed lore cast and not necessarily the lore of Assassin's Creed. So the first thing that I have to tell you about is our Patreon. And more specifically, that I want to thank our patrons. Thank you guys so much for supporting us and coming on our Patreon episode last week. It was a lot of fun creating and coming up with ideas for an Assassin's Creed TV show. So if you want to get in on our April patron chat, make sure you sign up at the link that's in the episode description. You can also go to patreon.com/AC Lorecast. And if you sign up at the $20 tier and up, you'll be eligible to join us next month month. And then if you can't support us financially, we totally get that. We know that finances are hard for a lot of people, but there is a great new way to support us without using any of your well-earned money. And that is by leaving us comments and reviews on Spotify. Spotify just launched this feature, and you can basically comment. It's called Q&A on an episode specifically, so it's not over the whole podcast, but you can comment on specific episodes, give us your thoughts, leave us a review, whatever you want. And if you leave one that's, a positive one, we will read it out on the show. And so these might get a little bit backed up, so just be patient with us. If you've submitted one and we haven't read it out for a few weeks, just like DM us, let us know, whatever, and we'll read it out hopefully on the next show. So I do have one to read today, and this one is just perfect timing with what we're talking about today. And this one comes from MAD 1459. And they said, a good episode as always, but Austin's pronunciation of Galina Voronina kills me every time, laughing emoji, which I will say, we worked on it this time before the episode.
I like to add letters, syllables, entire sounds to words that aren't there. So
you really do. And, pronunciation is hard for you, and that, it just is what it is. And we do our best. We don't always get it right. So if we do make a mistake, always let us know.
Yes. And with a lot of these languages, I am a native English speaker. And so I try my best with a lot of them. But if I get them wrong, I would really like to know how to say them, because I don't want to go around remaining ignorant of how to say things.
Yes.
So yeah,
absolutely.
Let us know.
Absolutely. And so I also have another review to read, because this one is just a regular one from Apple. So we may end up having more than one review weekly, which is completely fine. But this one comes from Jacob M. on Apple, and they said, so happy I found this, 5 stars. I listen to podcasts all day while I'm working, and I'm obsessed with Assassin's Creed. I found this pod and I'm in love with it. I need to catch up, or I need to find all these books and comics so I can catch up on the lore Austin is always referencing. Keep it up, y'all. Thank you so much for that awesome review. We will definitely keep it up.
And if you want some help finding it, I find a lot of my comics at discount bookstores, and they are relatively cheap, especially some of the older ones.
Yeah, I bought 3 Assassin's Creed novels recently, and for all 3 of them, it was not even $10. So for sure. And then the last thing that I have to talk about is my playthrough, which I might be a disappointment this week. I had a lot of updates last week, but so y'all know that I play Sims, right? Yes, Austin?
There is no Sims. There is only Assassin's Creed.
Well, to be fair, I do have mods in my Sims playthrough where I can give my Sims Assassin's Creed or Assassins or Templars tattoos, which I usually do give them at least one Assassin's tattoo. But anyway, so I play Sims. There was a huge update release last week, a new pack about infants, whatever. Y'all probably don't care. But anyway, I got really into Sims this past week. And so last Sunday I was like, Austin, while you play D&D, I'm not going to play Sims. I'm going to play Black Flag instead. And you were like, okay, I'll hold you to that. And you're like, don't play Sims. And I played Sims instead of Black Flag. And then on Monday, the same thing happened. And then on Wednesday or whatever day it was, I don't even remember. I sat down. I was like, okay, I'm going to play Black Flag so I can have some updates for my people, etc. I rage quit after 10 minutes. Because I got into this location. I don't know how. I got into this location with a fort that I was just trying to go around, and it kept attacking me, and there was a storm and a thunder spout that kept following me, and I died like 3 times, and it was frustrating. So I rage quit.
Yeah, I was there. Can verify it happened.
Tell them I wasn't overreacting. It was ridiculous.
You were not overreacting, though I did offer to help you, and you said no.
I don't want you to play the game for me. That defeats the purpose,
Right. But, you can always, when you start those, you can always fast travel away. Like when you reload after sinking, you can always open the map and fast travel away.
Yeah, I get that. But you can't fast travel when it's storming. Or you can't travel speed when it's storming.
Correct.
And the place that I was going, I needed to go that direction. So I thought I could just drive by. I could not just drive by.
Well, I'm sorry.
It's okay. I'll get back into it this week, and hopefully next week I'll have some actual content updates for y'all.
Hopefully, maybe. We'll see.
All right. Well, let's get back into the content.
Me, Haytham. I come in peace.
Why are you speaking so slow?
Sorry.
What? I was told you could train me.
No. Go away.
I'm not leaving!
Bianca! Bianca!
Is everything all right?
What do you think? Look at this place. And poor Bianca. If something's happened to her. Aha! Oh, my darling. Thank God you're all right. Ezio, meet Bianca. Bianca, Ezio.
Charmed.
All right, so this group really only has one mission, which you could call them a cell or you could call them a strike team or whatever, but they are a cell because they operate solely under Xavier's instructions. So this is their one mission. In September of 2015, Xavier learns that Joseph Laurier is his name, was alive and had given away the location of a piece of Eden to the Templars. And he learned this because his ancestor was Jennifer Query, who was also alive during the Salem witch trials. And so they're hunting for this piece of Eden that is supposedly involved in the Salem witch trials. So through a secret message, from him to Xavier claimed that it was actually a ruse and intended to draw out a high-ranking Templar. And so Xavier and his team basically divided. They're very divided about this. They're divided over whether to trust Joseph or not. Naturally, Galina is very skeptical and believes that they should simply kill Joseph to cut the loose end and make sure that the Templars can't in, rather than risking assassin secrets leaking out. Xavier, reluctant to see Joseph as a traitor, decides they need to verify his claim before taking further action. So they decided that they need help. They can't do this alone. They need to know what they're doing. They need the ability to explore the past. And they're in San Diego at the moment. This is then that the team discovers Charlotte and that she had an assassin ancestor around the same time as Jennifer Query in the Salem witch trials, the ancestors that found the piece of Eden. So with Kody's help, they locate Charlotte de la Cruz, traveling to San Diego to recruit her. Xavier and Galina meeting with Charlotte, where they basically just show up to her apartment and be like, hey, want to join a cult? And it is interrupted by Templars who have been tracking Charlotte because she's been poking around where she shouldn't poke around. And so a fight breaks out naturally because Galina is shoot and ask questions never when it comes to Templars. And so the assassins eventually get victorious, but Charlotte is knocked unconscious. So Charlotte wakes up in the assassin's hideout located near the Salton Sea. Xavier introduces her to Kody and brought her up to speed, basically regarding the cell's mission regarding Joseph. So Charlotte agrees, and they put her into an animus and found that she had difficulty staying synchronized with her ruthless ancestor. Basically, like, Thomas Stoddard is sitting there watching as the Salem witch trials are recording and like occurring, and Charlotte basically tries to make him intervene. But we know from the animus that you can't make your ancestor do something they didn't do. So she's constantly getting desynced because she's like, oh, but I could go over there and kill this guy. And then it's just like desynchronization.
That's really interesting. And it's kind of the opposite problem, you know, where we die in the game and get desynchronized. And it's like, well, you're getting desynchronized because you're choosing to. But I also think this shows her immaturity and her youth, really, because someone who has the ability to think at like a higher level and think through consequences and critical thinking skills they're going to be able to know, like, okay, I'm just going to get desynchronized if I do this and like screw up all my progress. So it's not worth it to even try because it's impossible. But she is so arrogant enough, and not even arrogant in a bad way, but like she is not thinking through the logical consequences of her actions. And so she thinks she's invincible to the point that, oh no, that's not going to happen to me. Like, I'll be the one.
Right. And so Charlotte continues basically to struggle with this, and this causes tension between Xavier and Galina, with Xavier hanging on to the beliefs that Joseph was on their side, and Galina being convinced that Xavier is being naive and they just need to kill Joseph and cut their losses and move on. And so Xavier was later informed by Kody that the Templar coming for Joseph was Didier Hawking, a memory hacking genius. So Galina, believing they had already wasted enough time and needed to go back to San Diego, forcibly disconnects Charlotte, leading to another argument with Xavier, which is basically kind of like, you know, there's the scene in Assassin's Creed 2 where Lucy and all of them are pulling Desmond out without him being desynchronized because they're like, you've spent too much time in there, you need to come out. It's similar to that, except Galina is not as gentle as Rebecca, saying like, hey, it's time to take a break, we're gonna do this. Galina's like, get out, let's go.
So is this not dangerous for the person?
It has to be. Like, there's no way that it's not dangerous, because like the Animus before like the Helix machine, before like the VR goggles or even that, is hooked up to your nervous system.
Right. And like there's a whole plot line in Origins that basically how you get the alternate perspective from Aya is that, what's her name? Layla. She basically discovers Aya in the place that she's in and syncs her up to the Animus and basically like just jumps right in without giving it time to sync up. And the person that she's on the phone with or whatever is like, you can't do that, that's dangerous, like you have to give it time to process and analyze everything. And she doesn't, and you know, she gets in a world of hurt. But to me it would make sense, like if that's the case, forward thinking, like if you have to let it take time to process before you put a new one in, it would make sense that it would be the same for taking someone out too.
Right. I think like with that situation, it's less that Layla's body needs time to process it. It's more that the Animus computer needs time to process it. So it's similar to be like getting someone out is less of an intrusive and an adaptation than getting someone in. So basically this leads to an argument and results in Xavier drawing a gun on threatening Galina, telling her that he would shoot her if she attempted to stop Charlotte from going back in, and that it's a whole argument where Xavier's like, I'm the leader of this team, I'm the one who makes shots. To quote Tywin Lannister, anyone who must say I am the king is no true king. similar to leader. If you have to assert that you are the leader, you're probably not leading.
Yeah. It really feels to me like Galina is running the show.
Right. Well, she is the assassin with reputation right now. None of the others have reputation.
Mm-hmm.
But Kody kind of comes in to be the peacemaker, and he says that the Animus can operate in the van. And so they could drive back to San Diego, and Charlotte could be in the memory, which we know is possible because Desmond basically spent the entirety of dealing with his Animus coma in a van.
Right, but it wasn't really good for him.
No. So Charlotte would continue reliving her ancestors' memories while they drove back to San Diego. Though Galina remained convinced that Joseph was a traitor, Charlotte then wakes up from her Animus session shortly before the cell arrived. She claimed that Joseph's ancestor, Jennifer Query, had died before seeing where the piece of Eden was, meaning that Joseph couldn't tell the Templars where the piece of Eden was because he wouldn't know. And so he was on the assassin's side. You can learn more about the actual historical events that are happening there on our episode on the Salem witch trials. I will note that it is important to note that there is no piece of Eden in the Salem witch trials. The thing that is happening, consciousness of Consus reaching out through individuals. But there is no piece of Eden, which, so like the Templars and the Assassins basically find out there is no piece of Eden. Rather, it is an individual with precognitive abilities. And that'll come out important later. So Xavier basically claiming that, oh, look, I'm right. Joseph is on our side, storms off and prepares to head out to save Joseph with Galina. Kody hacked the security camera of the Templar safe house, but accidentally stumbled on a file on Joseph. And this basically detailed Joseph's disappearance, that it was because of Xavier's failures on the mission that the team died and he was captured. And that he basically caused the death of Joseph's lover, Christian. This begins to be an issue, kind of like, and Galina is like, Xavier, you're not thinking clearly on this. Like, we have to go in, and there's an argument, and they go in to rescue Joseph anyway. So Charlotte continues reliving Stoddard's memories after their departure and discovers that Joseph did know where the artifact was through David, Jennifer Query's son, who is the child in which Consus is communicating through. And so Xavier and Galina pass through a swimming pool in the headquarters, and they found Joseph shackled in a makeshift interrogation room. It is there where Joseph reveals his deception and attacks them. Xavier pushed Joseph into the pool, but Joseph ends up strangling Xavier to death with the chain that he held, that held Joseph at the interrogation table. So Joseph basically prepares to finish Galina off, but Charlotte appears at the last minute to her defense. Joseph tried to basically sway her to this side, detonating a bomb to prove that he was still an assassin, though a rogue one. He claimed that the assassins had recruited Charlotte because she had precognitive powers, similar to the ones in the Salem witch trial, which means she had the ability to communicate with Consus. Abstergo burst into the room to kill Joseph, and Charlotte carried Galina out of the air vent. They came out of the maintenance room where Charlotte discovered she had accidentally killed an asthmatic employee she had bound and gagged to cover her intrusion. Charlotte loaded Galina into the van. Galina ordered Kody to inform Gavin and request that he sends a team to Salem, but Charlotte told him that it would be unnecessary, and explaining she could tell from the powers Joseph had explained to her that there was no piece of Eden in Salem. Galina thanked Charlotte, but Charlotte ends up being dejected over Xavier's death and her thoughtlessness that had caused the death of Brad, the Abstergo employee who died from an asthma attack. The team then decides to move on with Galina being the leader, which we will cover in our next Assassin Cell episode. You okay there?
That was a lot of everything.
Mm-hmm.
Just all the way around. So, okay, let's go back to the beginning. So, can you explain again who Joseph is to this cell?
So Joseph is a member of Xavier's first team that went sour, that was presumed dead.
Okay, so the reason that they go to find him is this an actual mission that they were sent from like the mentor assassin or Gavin or William or whomever, or is this something that Xavier just wanted to do?
It's unclear, but Xavier is the one who's calling the shots. And remember that assassin cells don't really have contact with them. So they are designed to operate and take down Templars in their field of expertise, with reporting occasionally to the mentor. So odds are William and Gavin aren't really in cahoot, like keeping firm communication with them.
Okay, so second thing is, I don't want to hate on Xavier too much, but he was kind of a failure. He only had 2 missions and screwed the pooch on both of them.
Right. I think it had to do with a lot of Xavier was dealing with a lot of survival guilt. And he didn't want to believe that his actions had led not only to the capture, not only to the death of a lot of his squad mates, but to the capture and turning of one of those. I think was a big deal that he wanted to say. And so I think that was a lot of his motivation. And he is trying desperately to atone for that. And he is blind to the trap that is laid in front of him.
Yeah, absolutely agreed. But I think it's like this situation, though, is why it's so important for when you are a leader, regardless of whether you're the leader of an assassin cell or something in our world. This is why it's important for you to have people that will, sit you down and say, hey, I think you're going down the wrong path. Or wouldn't it be more productive if we did this instead? Or, hey, you're screwing up, even to be that aggressive about it. Because we all do that. We all make mistakes. And sometimes we need people to call us out on our bullshit. But I think Xavier's problem is that he had that person in Galina. He just didn't listen, or he was threatened by her and her leadership skills. I think it's kind of unclear about which one or both or how that kind of all broke down. But it's a really unfortunate situation, because I do think that if he had listened to Galina more, a lot of this could have been prevented and he might even be alive.
Right. I think with Galina, it comes back to the thing of like, with Xavier, it needs someone who's not just going to be like, oh, we should just kill him because he's a risk. Like, for Xavier, he has to hold on to that hope that Joseph is still on their side. But Galina knows that it's better to risk that. But in Xavier's defense in this, like, Galina did not probably read the situation of how to deal with him. Granted, they didn't find out the severity of the situation until it was too late. Galina probably, if she had known how personal this was to Xavier, she probably would have taken a different approach, given that she made decisions to have to take down her own family. So I think there would have probably been a little more empathy for that if it had not been a last-minute surprise thrust on them.
Yes, I very much agree with that, because like you can't sit there and say that Galina doesn't know grief, doesn't know hard decisions. She's not just being a hard ass because she wants things done her way. No, she's being this way because she's been here before, because she's been in a very similar situation. And when you're dealing with things like this, when you have a person who's dealt with something very similar, they have a lot of wisdom to give.
But Xavier didn't think he didn't really try to lean on his team. He viewed his team as tools to get him what he wants, not partners to help him get the best result.
Right. And he sees them as not a collaborative group where they're all pitching in and they're all helping and they're all kind of like one with each other and they're all like, it's not a community-based thing. He's the leader and they're there to do what he tells them to. And I don't think that's an effective way to lead a group of assassins, people who are all skilled at fighting, who are intelligent, who operate at a higher level of thinking. You can't lead them like they're just, worker bees that you can boss around. That's never going to be effective.
Right. So yeah, that's Xavier's cell. We'll catch up back. We'll actually be taking a break for a little bit, so I'm going to leave you in suspense because we will be doing 2 character deep dives. But
that's rude.
But we'll get back into this in about 2 weeks. I know you just looked at who is next, but you're going to have to get over it.
I'm so grumpy about it. And I'm going to leave this in for everybody to wonder who's coming next.
Because they'll never be able to guess it.
I'm so mad. I'm so mad right now. All right. Well, cool. Do you have anything else to talk about for this one?
Nope, that's all I got.
All right. Well, thank you all so much for listening to the Assassin's Creed Lorecast. We'll see you next week.
Thanks for listening to the Assassin's Creed Lorecast. You can find us on Twitter at AC Lorecast.
If you have any lore questions or topics to unpack, join our Cups Podcasting and More Discord server. It's the best place on the internet. You can also support us financially through our Patreon. Find us on patreon.com/Assassin's Creed Lorecast. The Assassin's Creed Lorecast is part of the Robots Radio Network. For more information about the Robots Radio Network, join the Discord server via the link in our episode's description.
If you enjoyed the show or learned something new today, please subscribe, leave us a review, and join the Patreon. And if you enjoyed our intro and outro music, make sure you give a big thank you to Pipeman Studios. Thank you, Pipeman. Thanks again for listening to the Assassin's Creed Lorecast. And always remember, Assassins, stay in the shadows to serve the light.
This episode is brought to you by FX's Alien Earth, the official podcast. Each week, host Adam Rogers is joined by guests, including the show's creator, cast, and crew, in this exclusive companion podcast. They will explore story elements, deep dive into character motivations, and offer an episode-by-episode behind-the-scenes breakdown of each terrifying chapter in this new series. Search FX's Alien Earth wherever you listen to podcasts.
Want to live better? We've got a lot of work to do. Join Chris Hemsworth in National Geographic's new Disney Plus original series, Limitless. Live Better Now.
I'm diving headfirst into cutting-edge science to uncover 3 powerful secrets to living better right now. The growth that occurs through any challenging experience is really what we seek.
Chris Hemsworth stars in Limitless. Live Better Now. Now streaming on Disney Plus and Hulu.
It's showtime.